there, everyone. We're the KThree, and we love to review K-dramas. And we know that there's a bunch of you out there who were huge Bridgerton fans and now are looking for your next big binge. And we think K-dramas is where you should look.
If you are new to our channel, welcome. We are the KThree and we talk about K-dramas. We love K-dramas. And if you're a Bridgerton fan, as we are, then you know that your next binge is just around the corner, but where do you go? Perhaps you've seen all the Jane Austens on Netflix.
Right? If they're even on Netflix. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Jane Austen and Netflix, really, it's a match made in heaven. Why we don't have the BBC Jane Austen on Netflix is beyond me. But with that being said, with no BBC on Netflix, what is your starter pack for K-dramas if you're a Bridgerton lover? We have it for you.
So we're going to give you some recommendations to get you started, and you can easily find them on Netflix, and you can also find them on a streaming channel called Viki, which has a lot of Asian dramas and reality shows. We have a bunch of categories, so depending on what you really loved about Bridgerton, you can dive into these K-dramas to get you started.
So the main things that we're focusing on for any Bridgerton lover were obviously historicals, right? It's the costumes, it's the epicness, it's the balls, it's all of that. So historicals, obviously. World building, again, an amazing thing about Bridgerton was the world building that we got to see. Next, I mean, come on, the contract relationship, we love it. It's one of the greatest tropes in all of storytelling. Contract relationships, right, Marisa? Oh my God, we can't get enough of them. So yes. Obviously, there are a bunch in K-dramas. And there's also a great couple, right? Because great couples are what drive these romances and why they're so exciting. And with a great couple, then it boils down to that epic love story, right, guys? An epic love story takes a story from good and enjoyable to I need more. Give it to me. So with that being said, those are our topics that we're going to dive in and give you suggestions in the K-drama world, kind of as your K-drama starter pack right now.
So first up, we have historicals. If that's what you loved about Bridgerton, throwing back to an alternate universe that was familiar but different, historicals are a major genre in Korean dramas. Part of that appeal is not just going back in time to the Joseon era or the Goryeo era, it's the costumes. They are gorgeous, and the Korean silks are colorful and beautiful and just pop off the screen. And that's something that in Bridgerton was so different from other Regency era adaptations. That was just this, beautiful color palette, which is what you totally get in Korean dramas. Mm-hmm. So with rookie historian Go Hae-rang, she also had a uniform, which again, just beautiful and really signified so much of what these young women were going through. So for a quick synopsis.
Yes.
Go Hae-rang is about a young woman who breaks the glass ceiling to become one of 4 female historians working in a Joseon era palace.
Kind of like Bridgerton. She's noble, like one of the sisters, but she doesn't want to get married. But so she decides to become a working woman, which is fantastic. So she breaks that glass ceiling and ends up falling in love with the prince and other wacky hijinks. But she is a feminist from beginning to end, and it's amazing, right?
Yeah, so like Bridgerton, you have these kind of modern themes, these modern takes, but plunked into a historical. And this, for such a young woman to be so forthright. Our lead character, Go Hae-rang, is played by Shin Se-kyung, and the prince, who's sort of a Rapunzel character.
I love her so much.
She falls for is played by Cha Yun-woo, and he is also an idol, which is a term that you'll hear a lot if you're new to K-pop and K-dramas, which means he's in a K-pop group called Astro, and he's a rising superstar in South Korea.
And he, again, like the Duke from Bridgerton, has these things, these norms that are foisted upon him, and he breaks out of those to find his own purpose, right? And so that was what I found so satisfying about it. So for Go Hae-rang, you had these 2 amazing characters, each wanting to find their own path in the world, and they find it together, and they were partners and equals, and freaking loved it, right, Marisa?
And yes, and you can find it on Netflix.
Yeah, which is even better because it makes it so easy to get to. I'm not gonna lie, it still is one of my all-time favorites. I want to go rewatch it now.
And the second historical we recommend is also on Netflix. It's a very different feel. It's called Live Up to Your Name. this is a main trope story point that you see in Korean dramas. It's time travel.
Yes. Some do it well, some do not. This one we can highly recommend.
So Live Up to Your Name is about a Joseon era doctor who is magically transported via his acupuncture needles to modern day Seoul. To modern day Seoul, where he meets an ally in a passionate doctor. Time travel ensues.
Yes. This one is just, it's so, the juxtaposition of modern and Chosun era is what made it so satisfying, right? So you got to see how each person out of time worked in those areas. And the romance that blossoms throughout is just, it's not supposed to be, they're from two different times. They're from two different, disciplines of medicine. It's epic in every form. And you get the historical and the modern all in the same story.
That's right. And you have our doctor played by Kim Ah-jung. Joseon era was a horrible time for women. They had no agency. So to have this modern woman land in this period is just everything you want in terms of a feminist heroine who is standing her ground and making her own determinations. And that did not fly in the Joseon era. So as a modern audience seeing that, it's really satisfying, but also it's a history lesson,
Yeah. And that is a thing that I think is so, I love having that peek into the historical, even if, obviously fiction, right? Bridgerton fiction, but just that peek into what living in that time is into. And I think that's why we always enjoy historicals, because it's a little bit of peek. We don't have to live there, but we can kind of take a little look into what it was like.
That's right. And our Joseon era acupuncturist is played by Kim Nam-gil, who again is superstar in film and in television. But he's got this amazing ability to flip from wacky physical comedy to intense killer mode in a lickety split. So there's a great appeal in seeing him as one of your first K-dramas.
Next up, world building. Because if anything, Bridgerton built this fantastical, amazing Regency world that I think sucked so many people in, especially if you haven't been a big Jane Austen or Outlander fan. It was kind of a new thing for you, right? And this is something that K-dramas does. I think they're top notch. They do this all the time, and they do it so well.
Yeah, what you get with K-dramas is we call it a K-drama soup. It's such a mix of genres and styles and humor and pathos and serial killers and and love, always love.
Always love, yeah.
So these worlds that they build are epic. And again, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but these two are fantastic. So the first one is Legend of the Blue Sea, which was one of the top K-dramas of all time.
This was when I first started my K-drama. This is where I first started my K-drama journey, right? And so this one's a really good one, a good starter K-drama, because it's got the world building, it's got the Chosun era, it's got the modern era, and it's got some fantasy in it, you guys.
Oh, the fantasy elements of this are so good. So this story, and you can find this on Viki. Mm-hmm. It's about a mermaid who falls in love with a con man, and he is her true love, reincarnated from the Joseon era.
And reincarnation. K-dramas do reincarnation so well. It's so amazing.
Well, it's so part of the culture and history, and it flows so easily, and it adds to the epic romance of our lead couple,
which is Lee Min-ho, who is one of the biggest Hallyu stars in all of K-drama land, right? And right. Jun Ji-hyun, who is the female equivalent of that. So you've got two of the biggest stars in all of Hallyu, which is considered the Korean wave, so in K-dramas, together. So this was enormous and huge and so pretty. So pretty.
That's right. So you have international destinations. She plays, she's a model as well. She's huge in terms of commercial endorsements, and she's gorgeous. So the fashion in this drama is amazing. And it's just,
I mean, this is a woman who at one point in the drama, and this is no spoiler, actually goes diving into recycled clothing bin that is in Korea and puts on just random pieces of
Gucci and Versace.
And she still looks amazing. So she's the equivalent of you can wear a paper bag and she would still look fantastic. So yes.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So the other great thing about this drama is there are really good side characters, and that is part of this world building. It's not just about our main couple falling in love and overcoming all these obstacles. There's some really interesting, fun, fascinating characters and additional stories that feed into this whole world.
Next up in world building, again, going between two different time frames. This time it is in the Japanese occupied Korea. It's called Chicago Typewriter. This one it's reincarnation again. There is a possessed typewriter. You've got, essentially the synopsis is a successful author and his fangirl and a mysterious ghostwriter in the present are all reincarnated freedom fighters from 1940s Japanese occupied Korea. And it is gorgeous. I don't know how else to say it. The 1940s Korea is a gorgeous world to live in, and you kind of almost want to spend the whole story there, but you're so grateful that you get to have the story completed in modern times. And it was just beautiful from beginning to end. A little bit of tragedy, but a lot of hope, and I just cannot recommend this one enough. You've got some great, amazing Korean actors again. You got Yoo Ah-in, you got Im Soo-jung, and you've got Go Kyung-pyo, and they are just a triangle of just amazingness. I don't know how else to say it. Like, it's just such an amazing, watching them in the 40s and then watching them again in present time, the worlds, they're just so complete and so full that the story was amazing.
What's also great about K-dramas is that because they are 16 episodes and they are complete, you're not looking at multiple seasons. So if you watch this and love Yoo Ah-in, you can find him on other films on Netflix, including Burning and #Alive. And same with Im Soo-jung. She's in Search WWW. And then Go Kyung-pyo is in Private Lives. Like, you can keep going.
Yeah.
It's just, we're just like opening the doors a crack.
This is just a crack. This is just your gateway. We are giving you the gateway into K-dramas. Yes, totally. Our next category is great main couple. Because if anything, the Duke and Daphne showed us great main couples are key, right, guys? So we know that K-dramas has great main couples everywhere. So we're going to give you a couple of our gateways.
Descendants of the Sun. If you are not familiar with this show, I'm not even sure how we can explain to you how massive this was. It literally swept the world, and you need to get on this because this has everything that a K-drama should be. It's a little off the wall.
Yes. Yeah. I would even go as far to say completely off the wall. Yeah.
But at its heart is this couple who, bonus, real life, ended up married.
And then divorced.
It was a romance that spilled into real life. Yes. The chemistry is undeniable.
And this one also, if I may, has two amazing couples. I actually, as much as I love the first couple, love the second couple even more. I think there's like fandoms out there where it's like, are you first couple or second couple lovers? And like, that's how amazing this show was.
So what we're talking about is a main structure where you always have a male lead and a female lead and then a second couple. And sometimes it's triangles and sometimes they're not, but it's a kind of a consistent structure that you see in Korean dramas. So this drama is about a doctor who denies her attraction to a soldier, but the universe conspires to throw them together thanks to international crises, including a massive earthquake, because love knows no borders.
None. This one, I mean, honestly, this is the one that got Marisa and I into K-dramas. We did not know each other before. We started watching K-dramas on Netflix, and then we ended up finding each other and created this channel.
That's right.
This is the power of Descendants of the Sun, people. It is amazing.
It's got so you have Song Joong Ki and Song Hae Kyo as our lead couple. She is a massive I keep saying this, but everyone on our list is a superstar. You're really getting the cream of the crop with our recommendations here. So she's been a famous Korean actress for a very long time. And then Song Joong-ki, this was important because he was just out of the mandatory military service. So it was his comeback, and it was huge.
It was so good. I mean, you get the military, you get the medical, you get the epic drama, you get international crisis, you get the locations.
Yes. So there's a made-up country, but they shot it in Greece, I believe, and it is beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The drone shots, you will just fall in love with how this drama looks.
Yeah. I mean, when they flew in and then they rappelled off the helicopter, that scene is still like it's seared on my brain because it still was one of my favorite scenes. That's just a teaser, you guys. There's no spoilers there. Just know what happens, and it's all fine.
Yes.
Defense of the Sun was just one of those dramas that it had a little bit of everything. So it's a great way to get started on K-dramas for sure.
And our second drama that we recommend in terms of a main couple is My Love from Another Star.
Another one.
Yeah, another one. Another epic one. So we've got an alien trapped on Earth, the most gorgeous alien you've ever met in your life. Ever. He's patiently waiting for, I think, centuries for his ride to arrive so he can return to his star. But he falls in love with the Hallyu superstar who lives next door because reincarnation and because of course.
Of course, right? And again, we have Jun Ji-hyun from, again, it's the same writer and it's the same lead actress. So kind of a theme there. This writer really does like to do this big world building and kind of take it outside of the norm, right? A little bit different. Always a kind of like fringy ideas, a little bit of fantastical ideas. And she clearly loves Jun Ji-hyun. And then this one, our alien, is Kim Soo-hyun.
Number one. Number one. Well, he and Lee Min-ho.
Right. Like these two are just so huge. They're just huge. They're just huge actors again with a huge story. And it's again a drama that's been loved by everyone. So you get the epicness, you get a great couple. People still talk about this couple. And so this is it's a great, again, another gateway, a great starter drama to get you started in taking that great main couple idea from Bridgerton into K-dramas.
That's right. And you can find it on Viki. And next up, we have contract relationships. This is a very common trope in K-dramas. And
we love it. It's just fun.
Because they're butting heads, right? But then love will blossom somewhere around episode 14, 15.
I would dare say, Marisa, maybe around 7 they start to thaw out. So then that episode 8 turn is where suddenly they're like, why do I have these feelings? What is happening?
That's right. And then we can move into the longing phase of the drama.
With that being said, we must let you know, longing is the true romantic real estate in a K-drama. There's not a lot of sexy time in a K-drama. You're not going to get what you got in Bridgerton. This is more about the longing, the hand brushing, the hugs, a lot of hugs. There's a lot of hugs in K-dramas. And if you're really lately, because they've gotten a little bit better, you get a really, really couple of good kisses. So that is the only thing that we have to give you fair warning. Not a lot of sexy time in the K-drama world, especially historicals.
Yes, especially historicals. But what you have is these wells of emotion and the longing that is just so well done that we really think, that these two are such a great place for you to start. So the first one is 100 Days My Prince, which you can find on Netflix. It's about a selfish prince who develops a case of amnesia and ends up in a poor village relying on the kindness of a sassy young woman who only wants to be able to make her own choices about how to live her life.
Right? There are all sorts of backstory to that setup, right? I just finished binging it because I was looking for something over the holidays and I just finished binging it again, right? So I rewatched it. And this one just has it all. You've got You've got the tragic backstory. You've got the childhood first love. You've got the amnesia. You've got contract relationship blossoming into love. It's just got everything, you guys. It's got the beautiful handbag. You've got the Chosen era. You've got the beautiful costumes, and it's just world built of the whole thing. It's just got everything.
It really does. And it stars Namjian. She's one of our favorites. And also Dio from EXO, which is a huge K-pop group. I'm sure you've heard of them.
Yeah. If you are not brand new to K-dramas and you got sucked in on the Kim Sun-ho startup fandom, this is your guy. This is where you can come. He doesn't get the girl again, so I will warn you there, but he's adorable and it's really a fun watch.
And our second contract relationship recommendation is Hotel Del Luna.
This one we could have put in like almost any category, but because the world building is amazing, right?
Oh my gosh.
The historicals, we go to all sorts of different eras with this character, and just the sets were amazing. The idea, the concept behind it was amazing, all of that. But the contract relationship is where we felt that it really bloomed.
So this is about a mystical hotel owner. She is a 1,000-year-old soul working off her debt to the universe by helping those recently dead to pass on to their next life. And when the latest human hotel manager arrives, thus the contract relationship begins, will his perfectionist style actually be just what our hotel owner needs to cross the bridge herself?
Oh. It was this one was just such a satisfying drama. Remember? Do you remember, Marisa, how much we love this show?
Again, big budget, epic storytelling. It's a little episodic, which is different than other K-dramas. So you're getting these kind of single ghost stories with each episode, but then you have this overarching story of Manwal, played by IU, again, Hallyu superstar. And she is working her way towards the next life.
Yeah.
Or is she?
Yeah. We aren't sure. You aren't sure. But the beautiful thing about this one also, it's that you had all these side characters, the additional characters, and the story gave each of them not only a full story, it wrapped each story up so satisfying that by the time you got to the end, it was like reading such a great book that you just kind of close the cover and just want to reread it like all the time. It was just beautiful.
So again, these are 16 episodes. These ones are long. These are close to an hour and a half, and you can find it on Viki. But what's beautiful about K-dramas, again, is it ends. Yeah. There's no, the stories are complete. And these ones are beautiful. The costumes are gorgeous. You're bouncing around to different eras. It's kind of time travel in that way for you as the viewer.
And we got some amazing reincarnation, which is another theme that we love. So obviously reincarnation is a big theme in K-dramas and one of our favorites, as you've noticed in this starter pack.
Yes. And her wardrobe is unbelievable. It's like top couture designers, from her shoes to her accessories. So if you love a visual binge, this one is perfect for you.
Just gorgeous. Oh, love it.
Oh my gosh. And now we move on to the epic love stories. Right? You guys, if you have not watched K-dramas, you are going to be thanking us that we are recommending these to you, because these are two of the biggest, and we've told you about some really big shows, but these two, particularly the superstars that are in them, you're just going to want to binge them over and over again. So first up, we have Goblin.
Oh, Goblin.
Written and directed by the team from Descendants of the Sun. So when Goblin hit, everyone was just waiting for it. Jen was waiting for it, but
I was. You're allowed to not love Goblin. I'm going to tell you that right now. But there is a lot in Goblin to love. You don't have to love the main couple. There's a lot within Goblin. Outside of the main couple, there's still tons to love. You got a second couple, which is this writer's forte, is the second couple being so good and juicy. And you've got a romance that is just, it is one for the ages. People, it's still considered the one to beat.
That's right. You have a soundtrack that it creates these visceral reactions in you when you hear it.
As soon as you hear it, you're like,
Bing. So this is about an unbeatable general in Goryo's military who dies a tragic death. He's now immortal and living for 900 years. He is tired of living while everyone else around him dies. So he is searching for his bride. She is mortal, and she is the one who can pull out the sword and end his life. One day he encounters a positive, upbeat high school student who can see the dead, who just happens to be the goblin's bride.
And wacky hijinks ensue.
Yeah. So again, you have Gong Yoo. Have you seen Train to Busan? Maybe you have. Gong Yoo and Kim Go-eun, who now she plays a high school student. So that was kind of problematic for a lot of people. Yeah. But the way it's written, the epic love story, again, crossing centuries, you've got this really big problem for them to overcome. You've got international locations, in Quebec City in Canada.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, the visuals, the mystical, magical elements, the time travel. It's just, it's the full package.
And again, the reincarnation, because reincarnation, again, huge theme. And that was my favorite part of the whole thing. Loved it.
And the second couple, right?
And the second couple and reincarnation. And honestly, the second couple was a lot of the reincarnation. So maybe that's what it was. But yeah. Right. So this one is a juggernaut drama, whether you had issues with the main couple or did not. We would be remiss not to mention it in a starter pack for those of you coming from Bridgerton to KDramas, because it's got it all.
But our final recommendation.
This is where I think you should start, personally.
Yeah. Crash Landing on You.
Oh,
easily found on Netflix. You will never want to let it go.
Ever. This one is just epic. It's just epic. Like there's no other word for it. It is epic in every possible way you use the word epic.
That's right. So this is about a South Korean heiress who literally crash lands in North Korea and into a North Korean soldier during a hang gliding mishap that changes both their lives. If you want longing, if you want, a connection, the chemistry between a romantic lead couple, if you want, the juxtaposition between a North Korean village and wealthy Seoul, this hits all of those. It's just
all of them, right? The only thing it doesn't really have is the historical aspect, but I feel like because of the two different cultures, you kind of get that kind of out of world feeling to it. It gives you kind of almost a throwback feel to it, right? And like we said with Descendants of the Sun, this couple also went from real to real. And so you get that as well if you are someone who enjoys watching that type of thing. And this one is so hard not to enjoy because their chemistry is poppin'.
Right. So we're talking about Hyunbin and Son Ye-jin. Both have been massively famous, successful superstar actors in South Korea for a very long time. And they bring it. The chemistry between them is just clearly popped off the screen, and now they're in love in real life.
It's amazing. So the thing about Crash Landing on You, which also as we were building this list made me think, basically if we had to boil it down, Marisa, I feel like the new Bridgerton fans that are looking to K-drama, start with the Park Ji-yoon, who's the writer, because she's in her list 3 times. You want to start with her dramas because they, for us anyway, were completely satisfying. That is, you start with My Love from Another Star, Legends of the Blue Sea, and Crash Landing on You. If you start with those 3, I think you will know if you are a K-drama lover or not.
That's right. Because if you were drawn to Bridgerton or the book series written by Julia Quinn, it's her dialogue between characters that it just pops off the page. And that's what you find with this writer as well, because it's the relationships between those characters that you just fall in love with.
Absolutely. And the thing that I will say also about this writer that I also love, the females are pretty strong. You don't just you get a little bit more of a powerful, you don't get that Cinderella style female lead. The female leads in all of Park Ji-yoon's dramas have a backbone and have some grit to them that I also found really, really satisfying.
That's right. So when you dive into Korean dramas, you are diving into, 10, 15 years of dramas. And there's been a big shift. So really, you need to come to us for recommendations because there's some dodgy shows out there.
They're a little problematic if you are a Western viewer that is not used to that style of storytelling. Absolutely. So if you enjoyed this and you want to start your journey into K-dramas, come with us. Join us. Check out the rest of our channel. We are the KThree, and I'm Jen.
I'm Marisa, and you are now part of our K-drama Clubhouse. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because there are so many beautiful, wonderful things to talk about when you enter the world of K-dramas.
And if you enjoyed this list and want to see some of our other recommendations you can easily find on Netflix, go ahead and check them out right here. And we hopefully will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.